Hello, friends. Today you'll learn what happens when someone says sorry so often they start to disappear inside their own kindness. You'll understand how guilt can sometimes pretend to be love, and how that confusion keeps people small, tired, and afraid to rest. You're also going to experience something special because while you listen, I'll be speaking in a way that helps your mind relax and imagine. That's right, relaxing and imagining. Gentle words that help you remember what's already true. And these ideas will invite you into a very calm, enjoyable state where you can finally begin to break free from old patterns and create new ones that feel lighter, easier, and more you. And by the end, you'll remember that forgiveness isn't about being good, it's about letting go of pain that was never yours to carry. And you'll begin to feel what real kindness is. The kind that starts from the inside and grows outward naturally. So, as we begin, you don't have to try to do anything right. Just listen. You don't have to earn your place here. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to breathe. And you are allowed to stop carrying everyone else's pain. Her name is Erin McKay, and if you met her, you'd probably like her immediately. Most people do. She's the kind of person who remembers birthdays, who sends long texts checking in, who waters the plants in her neighbor's window box when they're away. She works as a designer, freelance, so her laptop is both her friend and her leash. She likes the soft clink of her mug, the quiet hum of her diffuser, the way sunlight pools over her desk in the morning. It all looks peaceful from the outside. But inside, there's that familiar tension. The one people pleasers all know so well. The nervous flutter that asks, did I do enough? Did I sound okay? Are they upset with me? She says sorry for the weather, for the Wi-Fi, for the way she laughs. She apologizes when someone else interrupts her. And even when she's right, she finds a way to be wrong, just to keep the air smooth. That's the loop, the attempted solution to keep everyone happy. This is what keeps her stuck. Each apology buys her a breath of safety, but the breath doesn't last. It just trains her to believe that love lives on the other side of guilt. And as she sits one evening, cursor blinking on a half-finished email, she catches herself typing the word sorry again. Sorry for the delay. Sorry for taking up your time. Sorry for existing. Her fingers pause over the keys. Something in her chest whispers, why am I apologizing for being alive? It's a tiny thought, barely audible, but it's the sound of a crack forming in the mirror. She closes her laptop. The room feels heavier than before, but realer somehow, like the air has more truth to it. Outside, evening light slides down the wall. She can almost feel a new kind of silence arriving. One that isn't empty, but waiting. Because somewhere inside her, the part that has been spending years managing other people's storms is beginning to wonder, what if peace isn't something you keep, What if it's something you stop holding? And as the light fades, Erin sits still long enough to hear her own breath. It's strange how silence can sound so loud when you lived a life of apology. She closes her eyes, and for just a moment, she imagines standing in a long, quiet hallway. White walls, soft floor. Every few steps, another mirror. In each reflection, herself, whispering, sorry. Dozens of versions of her, each one apologizing for being seen. She walks past one mirror, and then another, each sorry echoing like rain against glass. The sound grows softer, almost rhythmic, almost like breathing, until she realizes it's not the mirrors speaking anymore. It's her own thoughts. The loop is running, the same old pattern trying to fix what was never broken. So she stops, and the mirrors keep whispering anyway, because that's what loops do. They don't stop when you fight them. They stop when you no longer need them. This is the paradox. You can't escape the loop by resisting it. You escape it by understanding it. Every sorry was a survival spell, a way to keep the world gentle when the world once felt dangerous. But safety that costs you your voice isn't safety at all. Now imagine with her. She places one hand against the mirror in front of her. It's cool to the touch. And through the glass, she sees a younger version of herself. Red hair, freckles across her cheeks, eyes too wise for how small she is. The little girl looks up and whispers, I didn't want them to be mad. Erin kneels, matching her hand to the child's through the glass. You did the best you could, she says softly. You thought love meant keeping everyone happy. And as she says it, the mirrors begin to ripple, like water catching sunlight, because truth dissolves illusion. The child smiles a little, then presses her palm through the glass and steps forward. The moment their hands touch, a wave of warmth moves through them both. The hall brightens. The whispers fade. And somewhere in that silence, a new thought appears, clear and quiet. I give myself permission to stop carrying everyone else's pain. The mirrors grow still. The air feels alive again. And Erin exhales slowly, deeply. The first breath in years that belongs entirely to her. The mirrors are gone now. In their place, a quiet garden unfolds. Soft ground under bare feet. The scent of rain and wild flowers in the air. Erin walks slowly through it, feeling how the earth rises gently to meet her with each step. Every breath she takes belongs to her again. No one else's expectations hitch a ride on it. The world seems to breathe with her, a rhythm she had forgotten she could trust. This is how real change begins, not with struggle, but with a moment just like this moment. In this moment, when you realize the struggle is no longer needed. She feels the old urge rising once, that twitch in the chest that wants to say sorry for existing too loudly, for taking up space. But instead of fighting it, she smiles at it. A small, kind smile that says, "You don't have to protect me anymore. You don't have to protect me anymore." The feeling softens like a knot untangling on its own. Shoulders drop, spine straightens. The heart learns the shape of stillness. The sky above shifts from silver to gold, and somewhere in that gentle light, a truth begins to take root. Peace doesn't come from control. It comes from presence. Peace doesn't come from control. It comes from presence. From presence. She no longer needs to manage other people's weather. The storms that once terrified her are just clouds moving across a wide and forgiving sky. And the more she forgives herself, the more her world mirrors it back. Emails sound kinder. Conversations breathe easier. Even strangers seem lighter, because the mirror only ever reflected the way she treated herself. So she keeps walking, feeling the sun warm her freckles, each step a small apology undone. And as you listen with her, you might notice your own breath has slowed, your shoulders have eased, and a quiet permission has begun to bloom somewhere deep within. The permission to rest, to stop rehearsing guilt, to remember that kindness that doesn't include you isn't kindness at all. And as the garden fades, you can imagine Erin, freckled, steady, no longer shrinking to fit other people's comfort, looking at the horizon and realizing she never had to earn her place in it. She only had to arrive. Take one more gentle breath. Let it fill your chest. Let it soften your thoughts. You're not responsible for anyone else's peace. You're simply free to share your own. You can open your eyes now. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to say sorry before you speak. See, there's always going to be people who misunderstand kindness and who confuse it with weakness. But that doesn't make kindness any smaller. It just means you've learned where to stop giving pieces of yourself away. Maybe one day someone will ask you why you don't apologize as much as you used to. And you'll smile and say, because I finally forgave the one person I kept blaming. Me. You'll know, deep in your chest, that guilt was never proof of goodness. Love was never a job, and peace was never something you earned by staying quiet. So when you can hear yourself about to say sorry for existing, you can take a slow breath instead. Remember, you already belong here. You're already forgiven. You were never in trouble in the first place. That's all this story wanted you to know. That's the best part of it. You don't have to remember every word because your mind already heard what it needed. You've simply begun the gentle work of being kind to yourself. And the rest will unfold naturally. Like a sunrise that doesn't need your permission to rise. You're allowed to stop carrying everyone else's pain now. The world will take care of itself. Thanks for listening.